This is your first Ajax framework. So what is Ajax? Well, Ajax is a way that you can load data and send it out and return it without ever hitting a refresh on a web page. So what I'm going to do, and you need a server for this because of JavaScript security rules, is I'm going to put this on a server, any old server. I've got a few of them, as you can see. So what I'm doing right now is FTPing to a remote server, and I'm going to put it in a place where we can have a demo. So here's, I'm going to do, I'm just going to make a new folder. I'm going to call this JavaScript demo. And you can do this on your own. A lot of you have Macs, some of you have PCs, but you can use MAMP for a good personal local server. It's a plug and play. I'll show you that real quick. This is called MAMP. Just Google MAMP, click on it, and once you download it, you can have that local server. So this will work for you. In fact, what I'm going to do here is I'll put this on this server, but I'll show you MAMP has, I have MAMP in my system as well, and there are a lot of different local servers you can use. But this is, I'm going to throw Ajax up, ajax.html up to the server, and I'm simply going to take another file just to show that it was received. So this will be called subscribe.php. And don't worry about the PHP end of this, because all I'm going to do is mail myself something. Okay, so basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the values that get sent from Ajax. This could be a longer screencast, by the way. You see how I have a subscribe.php and then a question mark and email equals user? Well, what I'm going to do with the server-side language is I'm going to get email. Okay, and what this will do is it'll get anything in the URL window that has the value email. So email, I'm going to make anything with the $sign is a variable in PHP. And I'm going to mail to myself. This is something that PHP does pretty well, it's just mail. And I'm going to say Ajax works, like that, and then I'm just going to send email. So we're going to see if this Ajax script works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually reduce all the code here to what Ajax is, which is nothing more than this object right here, which is the XML HTTP request. So as I work down the page, down here I have an email subscription, I have input type email, ID email, and onBlur make request. Well, what we can do is, since that's a text field that's just simply meant to send an email address asynchronously, is just run this block of code. So right now, when I go to mm214.com, which is my old educational website, JavaScript demo.html, I think no, it's actually the folder, and I'm going to actually open my tools here, give you a good glimpse of what's going on. And this is the XHR in Chrome, and I can simply go in here like this and just do kdccore@gmail.com. Remember, onBlur was the event, so I just hit onBlur, and I know it doesn't say anything, but we can go to my console and see, okay, cannot read value null, line 7. So let's see, Ajax 7 is this. We'll throw it in the function so that onBlur calls that function. Hit request again, do kdccore@gmail, hit tab, and now I have an onResponse not defined because I'm being sort of silly here. I'm kind of working backwards. I really want this just to be the smallest amount of lines possible to show you what Ajax is, and then we'll go over the code. So now we're hitting refresh again. We're going to do the same thing, just like this. Hit onBlur, and I didn't get an error. And let's go to my network, and here's my Ajax call. So it only took 187 bits of size, 864 milliseconds, and I got a 200 response. So let's go to my Gmail, and there is my Ajax Works right there, and it sent me this email address. So what just happened? Well, if I go to my code again, on blur, we'll take it from the event, on blur make request, we made a variable that equals the new object XML HTTP request. And then we grabbed variables from what was in the text field. We already know the URL is this. So what we do is we opened up that request for the get method, which means the URL string. We passed it this URL and told it to keep it open, and then send, and expected no response. So that's a beautiful thing there. Yeah, you can work further now and say, okay, how do I get that response back? Well, we'd have to go into PHP first and give some sort of response, like, let's go, I'm just going to echo, which means print success, like that. Okay, and now what we can do is uncomment our things and get a full-on sending and receiving framework. So right now I have on ready state change, on response. So what this is if I were to console.log the request, like so, I would get all of the XML HTTP requests and its properties, which is kind of neat. So I'm going to go like this with a blur, go to my console, and there's the XML HTTP request with all the properties. So on ready state change is what we're looking for. Now we didn't have any, we have an error message there, so it didn't occur, but at least I have the properties and the events that apply to this object. So I think of XML HTTP request, it's nothing more than a phone call. So what we're going to do is uncomment the rest of the framework, and I'll go over it. Because right now we have a full Ajax framework, and I can do kdccore@gmail.com on blur, and if you look here, I have request equals object XML HTTP request. It really could be data. In fact, there was a problem is what I got from the section, which means 500 internal server error. So it's something on the PHP side. So if I go to subscribe.php and I have an issue with, if you look, I have the question mark that closes. I didn't close my quote. So I was able to troubleshoot a server-sided problem on the front end. But now I'm not refreshing anything, and I get success. That came from the PHP script. And this is Ajax. So when I go back and I just focus on this, basically, when each stage of Ajax occurs, I'm calling this onResponse function. This onResponse function is down here, and I'm basically running this function right here, which is a manual function, check-ready state, to see what stage of Ajax I'm in. Anyway, we have an object status 200, so that means we return true. And then basically we're taking the data and we are getting the object here. And this is a mistake. That's something that just got pressed. But then we're taking the response text property of that call and putting it in our HTML. So we were able there to send and receive data. And that's Ajax.